Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Tunnel Vision. I'm your host, Ryan Abraham, joined alongside Mr. Triple Double himself, Connor Morrissette, and we have a special guest. Thanks again to House of Victory for setting this one up. Really excited to talk to Gavin Meyer. Follow him on Twitter at MeyerGavin, the Wyoming defensive tackle transfer who's now starting for USC, the number 11 now ranked 2-0 USC Trojans. Joining us from his crib. Gavin, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Awesome to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so we're doing this a little different. We had we were trying to do on Thursdays, but you guys are kind of busy going into game weeks and stuff. So we're gonna try to do these now on Sundays. Get a little bit of a reaction from the game since the game was just yesterday, or really this morning. USC takes down Utah State 48-0. So Gavin's part of the starting defensive tackle for a team that shut out the first USC shutout since 2011. So we'll try to get some of the guests here from the team coming on Sundays. Then we'll do our regular Tunnel Vision show afterwards. So we will have a regular show. Chris will be here in studio with Connor. So if you're on our YouTube channel at Inside Troy, you can check that out either live or on YouTube. That'll start at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. So we'll kick Mr. Meyer out, and then we'll get Chris in here, and we'll break down the game and do all that kind of fun stuff. But this will be a separate show. We'll do like a 25-minute show with Gavin, and then move on from that, just to let everyone know kind of what's going on. But Gavin, again, thank you for coming on. Thanks to House of Victory for setting it up. Before we jump into all that, I do want to give you a chance to talk about sort of your work since you've arrived at Wyoming, working with House of Victory, and some of the things that you have done with that organization.
100%. Well, some of the main things that I've been blessed to be able to do since arriving out here in SoCal is a lot of the work with the Boys and Girls Club, specifically the one down in Wilmington. There we go. Showing me and Zach some of the kiddos. We did a lot of work this summer since a lot of the kids that are there spend most of their day there, morning to they get picked up by some of their parents. We can go down there, spend a couple hours, spending good time, and doing a lot of stuff from playing like different sports and running around the fields to even like more classroom based like leadership stuff. Sharing some of the places that we've come from and some of the things we've learned with a lot of the kids there, and just you can change just one kid's life, or share lessons and stuff like that for kids. It can really last a lifetime. So that's just something that I've been blessed to have the opportunity to do and, keep doing. So that's basically my favorite thing I've done so far.
Right. How different has it been? Because this is all kind of new. This whole NIL world is kind of new. I know USC I think they're playing the game strong. They're doing a great job now, but it was, kind of slow to get going there. What was it like at Wyoming, and then compared to like the stuff you're doing here at USC?
Yeah, I would say the main difference between my whole NIL experience and the whole widespread space of it is like when I was getting recruited out of high school, NIL wasn't a factor, and the legal side of it wasn't passed. So the main thing with NIL is definitely that there wasn't any, and it wasn't even talked about, and all that kind of stuff. So my, college decision and all that stuff wasn't influenced by any of that NIL kind of stuff, which is interesting for a lot of kids nowadays, that all they know is having that be part of the recruiting pitch or be a main factor in, their decisions. So I think that was like the main difference, because going to a school that's not going to be whatever Big Ten, SEC, or whatever, they're going to have less resources in a sense in that. So I think that's the major difference for me.
Gavin, I'm curious. So last season at Wyoming, you were more of a rotational piece, and now you transferred to USC after spring practice. You've started the first two games for a USC defense that looks totally different, for better, than it did last season. What's enabled you to go from a rotational player at a Group of 5 school to a starter at a Power 4 school?
Yeah, I've been really fortunate to, work with defensive staff, Coach Lynn and Coach Henderson and the whole staff. And I'm really just thankful for them to put me and our defense in a situation where we can dominate, through 4 quarters. And I think that's been evident through the first 2 games of, having the plan and dominating and executing it to, to a T. And I feel like the coaching and the full mentality that they bring to the table just is felt from them all the way down to guys that are playing. So I think the rotational aspect last year was something that I actually really thrived in, being in a role where I could come in and be effective. And then this year, being in a role where we're rolling guys and everyone's actually getting the same amount of reps. I'm really just thankful that my coaches trust me to go out there and execute, and trusting my teammates to go out there and execute next to me. So yes.
And you guys are rotating too. I mean, you and we had Nate Clifton on. He brought his dog. I don't know if you have a dog, but that was a hit when his dog was pretty cool.
I know Nate does have a little puppy though.
Yeah. No, he was great, and Mason Cobb did too. We didn't get the full appearance. We got a little bit of the dog in that one, but that was a lot of fun. But when I watching their first game in Vegas, it was crazy. We'll talk about your experience there and playing for in the Coliseum for the first time. But seeing the rotation come in, where you and Nate were like starting, and then like Bear and Kobe Pepe would come in, and it could just be it was almost like hockey line changes and stuff. I mean, is that good just for like, hey, we can all kind of share reps and we get a break and you get some wind, but do you feel like maybe you're getting in a groove and you have to come out of the game? Like, how does that rotation work for you?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I feel like, especially on the defensive side of the ball, being able to utilize substitutions in a way where you can kind of not take advantage of, but slow the game down or speed the game up in the ways that you want to, and make sure the offense doesn't take advantage of their substitutions and you on the defensive side don't. So having guys up and down the depth chart that are able to go in for 4 plays at a time, 8 plays at a time, whatever it may be, but having that groove is definitely essential. So, you obviously don't want to, be on the sideline for too long and, get cold, but being able to, play amount of plays per game and dominate those plays and not have to be in there 75 snaps a game, I feel like is really, really good for a position group that is usually prone to injuries, at least in my experience. Defensive line, offensive line in the trenches, it's going to battle, and you don't want to, have a injury just because of like an overwork issue. So I think it's actually really key to utilize those substitutions.
Gavin, you got here after spring practice, like I said. When did you first get the notion that this USC defense was going to be pretty good?
Great question. I think the first time that I knew that this defense was going to be the real deal, and I knew it kind of was from the start, but one of those aha moments for me was summer workouts. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks before fall camp. We had long Friday workout, and we ended up splitting up between position groups, and it was the bigs going, and it was the D-line running some of these half gassers or whatever it may be. I forget what exactly we were running, but we had the D-line take off, and I just see, all the D linemen from Jamil and Luke to Nate to Bear to everyone up and down the defensive side of the ball take off and challenging me as a veteran guy just to push through adversity. And I think we're going on maybe like hour whatever of the workout. I think that was just the real team notion, like it's like, yeah, these guys are going to push themselves and everyone around them to be their best. And that's just something that, people take for granted in a sport that, praises a lot of the individual character traits and individual success, and just having guys around you to push you is understated how important it is in today's game. So I think that was the moment for me.
A lot of the fans here at USCFootball.com, they're big into the recruiting process, and like we already mentioned, it's changed a lot. And it seems like when you're in the transfer portal, there's some positions that are come at a premium, and defensive tackle is one of them. And you were a later ad for USC, and obviously you're starting, so you've been that's a big get for USC. But what was it like going into the transfer portal, and then what was sort of your decision process that you ended up coming to USC?
Yeah, I mean, the recruiting process in the transfer portal was a whirlwind, to say the least. I was blessed and fortunate enough to graduate in 4 years at the University of Wyoming, and, so happy with my time there and able to, graduate with a degree and everything like that. And then my decision to enter the transfer portal, when I graduated, the whole transfer portal circus actually happened in a matter of, I think it ended up being like right under 3 weeks. So I was in the portal, was able to graduate, really wanted to focus on that. So that was my main focus at the time. So I did that, and then I was getting fielding calls and doing all that stuff, but my phone was going off for like 2.5 weeks, and narrowed it down to a couple schools, USC being one of them. And I think the main attraction to me at USC, was a lot of the coaching changes that were happening, and a lot of the guys that they brought in to have success at the coaching level, and then obviously a great group of players as well. But you see throwing the pictures on Coach Lynn, Coach Hens, Coach Henderson, Coach Nua, Coach Belk. Oh man, I mean, just up and down the staff, and then some of the offensive coaches as well, and Coach Riley. But man, I think the main attraction was a lot of the, call it star power of the coaching that attracted me, because I mean, at this level and any level, but there's so much for a player to gain, because still so young in our football life as far as learning. And I'm just so happy with all the things that I've learned since I've been here, and couldn't be happier with my decision, because Coach Henderson has taken my game to a level that I feel, I mean, if you just keep growing on a day-by-day mindset, and I'm so happy with how far I've come.
You mentioned Coach Henderson taking your game to that next level. What has he done to get you there? And a follow-up as well with Danton Lynn. Lincoln Riley last night talked all about how Lynn has done such an exceptional job of making confusing things really easy to understand. So what's Henderson done to bring the best out of you? And what does Danton Lynn do as a teacher that's so effective? How does he make the hard stuff really easy? And I mean, the returns on him through 2 games, you guys couldn't have really played much better so far. It's been awesome.
Yeah, so Coach Henderson, I mean, taking my game to a next level, I feel like the main aspect of that is, the dog work mentality. I have the hoodie right here, actually. Either you're getting better or you ain't. And that's, I mean, that's step one, going every day and trying to, find something that you can work on, and always know that there's just a little something for you to get better at is, step one. But some of the technique stuff that he, has cleaned up with me, especially footwork and, hand placement wise, for sure, step one, and all that. And then pass rush, and just earning the right to rush the passer, and having the mentality every play like you're going to get there, and that kind of stuff. And then going on to Coach Lynn, on our first interaction, our first meeting, I think we talked football for about hour and a half or so, and there was a little smirk on my face the whole meeting, and I'm just sitting there like, yeah, this is how football is supposed to be talked about and understood. And ever since then, it's been amazing to just absorb and trying to be like a sponge around him, because the knowledge is overwhelming in a sense, but like you said, he is able to speak it into words where kind of bring you along and help you understand, which is a gift that he has, and I hope to be able to kind of learn from him and try to be able to pass down things that he's been able to teach me.
The thing that seeing what he did last year at UCLA, I mean, I've been covering college football for a while, and I would say typically when you have a coach that's primarily worked in the NFL, it takes some time to kind of learn the college game, because they don't have you as much as they do in the NFL. There's limited time. Sometimes you have some thick playbook, and they just expect you, these college kids to be able to know everything that's going on. And it seemed like there was no transition whatsoever for Denton Lynn. I mean, 1 year at UCLA turns them around. Early results for you guys. 1 year at USC's turning you guys around. Like, you've been around a bunch of coaches and stuff. I mean, I don't know if you've seen NFL guys come in and just kind of get the college game like that, but any insight into how he was able to be able to do that in his first year?
Yeah. I guess I'm not in, his seat or, coaching next to him, so I don't have the exact answer for you maybe, but my understanding from what he kind of has as a coach, he explained it to me in a way where he makes the simple things, like you said, simple, but he also makes the confusing things simple. So kind of keeping the language the same, regardless of how complex something could be. So trying to, obviously make for fronts and whatever it may be, keeping everyone on the same page and keeping the language simple so everyone can understand it, and not giving out a playbook that's an encyclopedia thick, rather trying to have what you do good, keep it that way, and don't add things that are unnecessary. Master the basics.
So there you say do things that you do well consistently. What does this defense do the best in your opinion?
Sorry, am I good? You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you might have cut out for a
Awesome.
second. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no. Yep, I'm all good. I can
Okay.
hear you guys. I just had a pop up. But you said, can you repeat the question?
Sure.
Sorry.
No problem. So you mentioned how Lynn wants you guys to do what you do well consistently, wants to put you guys in the best positions. What does this defense do the best in your opinion?
So one of the key points of this defense that we do well so far, and we just got to keep getting better at, is tackling well, and then along with that is communicating. We can do even better at it, but even what we did from week 1 to week 2, our communication level got way better, from D-line to linebackers to DBs, just communicating at a rate that the offense can't keep up with, and just talking, so whatever they do, we can be in the position that we need to be. And I think up front, that's something that we were okay at, and then this week we got way better at it, and then helped everyone. And then I think the other thing that we can obviously keep getting better at is being on the same page, and that's just understanding the assignment and everything like that, and playing team football, and all rallying to the ball. And I think that's been pretty evident. Just getting 6-7 hats to the ball every play is just, when you're swarming to the ball like that suffocates the offense. And I don't think there's better football than that.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that. It just wasn't happening last year. You weren't around, but it just seemed like if one guy missed a tackle it was a huge play. And now it's like, if someone misses a tackle, there's someone to clean it up, or a couple people to clean it up afterwards. Connor, I know we had some questions on the peristyle. Do you want to shoot a couple at Gavin, if you don't mind? Gavin,
Sure. And just really quick, my last thing. We haven't even talked to you about Utah State, Gavin.
48-0.
I believe you had a pass that you batted up in the air that Easton Mascarenas Arnold intercepted. So
I got the video of that.
First of all, how did that feel to be in on a big play? And just what did you guys do to avoid a letdown game? We saw Notre Dame lose after coming up big against Texas A&M the week before. Penn State didn't look as good against West Virginia. How did you guys avoid that hangover effect? And how good did it feel to be involved in a big play and just get the job done in a 48-0 smackdown?
Man, I think the mentality that, you have to not be complacent is, talked about, and everyone's going to say that. Don't play down to a competition, or don't let up regardless of who you're playing, X, Y, and Z. And I just feel like every week you go out there, it's just an opportunity to, showcase your skills, and you have to be ready to play at the highest level every time. And I think when the team really believes that and doesn't just, be like, that's going to be the best case for the USC Trojans going, week in, week out, and just understanding that you never can underestimate or be complacent. And if we're able to believe that week in, week out, we'll be in a great place. But last night, I mean, just what a great team win. And then that play, turning around and seeing, the Trojans go for that ball rather than the other way around is just, you can't express that feeling. And then I'm trying to turn around and go throw a block for my boy, but he wasn't able to get too far there. But man, just being able to, play team defense, and you see, whatever 8, 9, 10 hats trying to go block for Easton there is just so exciting. And, can't express how much of a good feeling it is to be a part of this defense right now.
And we do have a couple of questions, but I forgot we didn't even talk about the Utah State game. But I want to get your thoughts on the environment first in Vegas, which seems like a lot of fun, and then your first Coliseum game. Yeah, it was 8 p.m. The lights weren't working the whole time, so it was a little different. But what was it like those two environments for you?
Yeah, so I mean, getting to play in Allegiant Stadium was awesome. I was actually able to play there against UNLV twice before.
Oh, okay.
In the last couple of years, so the stadium wasn't completely new, but the environment was. Last 2 times I played there, it was definitely smaller crowds, and the vibe week 1. Talk about an atmosphere. It's probably the loudest game I've ever been a part of, from start to finish. Trying to hear out on the field was, pretty difficult. And, that brings a whole new part of the game to the table when you're trying to communicate without being able to hear each other and that whole thing. So that was amazing. And, be able to come out of that game victorious and actually playing not our best game, even though we, obviously played all right, but there's a lot of things that we needed to work on coming into this game this week, and we hit the, nail on the head when we went into practice and attacked every practice, and then came out and showed that we were working on the right things. And last night, I think, showed the great crowd that came out to the Coliseum. It was amazing to see a stadium. Coliseum's massive. Stadiums that I've played at, definitely been not whatever 80,000, 70,000 deep like the Coliseum, but it was pretty awesome to get a full Coliseum almost, and even with half the lights working there in the second half. I didn't even realize, which is funny, we were so locked into the game. There was like lights flickering or whatever.
It looked like the field was lit.
The field was for sure fully lit until I think it was the second half, where there was actually half the lights went out, and then you could start seeing some shadows. It felt like Friday Night Lights,
Okay.
Some shadows cast it on the field and just throw it back to high school ball. Some long shadows.
Okay, yeah, because like from the press box, we're looking down, and I'm like, it seems like the whole field's still lit, but there was obviously lights out, and they thought the torch wouldn't light, but it ended up lighting. But yeah, I guess there would be some weird shadows if some of those lights are out, and it might be difficult to see some of the act. I get on the field, just it might look a little different with those long shadows.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm really happy that we ended up finishing the game, and guys that were able to get in the game there towards the end. Just couldn't be happier for some of those young guys that I've had a chance to meet since I've been here, and have an opportunity to get out there in the Coliseum for their first game as well.
We can get to some message board questions now. I thought JRUSC had a good question. It's a bit of a longer one. He asked, the general consensus is that SEC and Big Ten schools are in a position to dedicate a lot more resources to their football programs than schools in other conferences. Since you've played for both a Big Ten program and a Mountain West one, are there any resources that you feel USC offers that provides a big advantage in your preparation or development than other programs are not offering their players? In other words, is USC doing something different now that it's a Big Ten school, a Pac-12 school before that maybe Wyoming or other smaller schools aren't?
Great question. I think the main difference as far as the resources and all that goes, would be maybe the amount of personnel and amount of total people that are devoted to a certain program. How many people that are working towards it. I would say the difference is I think maybe a little small, like a little tighter than you might think, because at Mountain West schools, for example, I feel like the resources and the amount of time people put into you is probably pretty similar. But at a place like this, at some of these small, like bigger schools, they, might have like a little more financial resources or something like that. But I feel like programs across the country do a really good job just pouring into their players and having everything available to you that they can. So I feel like the differences aren't as large as you might think.
3G USC alum wants to know, and if you need to plead the fifth here, that's okay. Who's the best player on the USC defense, in your opinion, and why?
Yeah, I'm not gonna throw any names around for that. But I think you can see so far that there's just a great team feel about this defense as far as like the defensive side of the ball goes, and on offense and on special teams as well. But as far as the defensive team and the defensive unit feeling, I think our best player right now is playing together as a team and playing complementary football, because that's how you get the job done. So I think that's my answer.
Great answer. Very diplomatic. Shotgun Spratling, who works with us at USCfootball.com, he had one. He wants to know, as a Midwest kid, what impact did USC's move to the Big Ten have when you were choosing a school?
Great question as well. Growing up watching the Big Ten, definitely it's pretty awesome that I'm, able to be a part of a conference that, calls, my home state and my home region, home now. But now it's a coast-to-coast conference, which is awesome. But I think it definitely was a little bit of a bonus to be able to, play teams that, I, grew up watching and stuff like that, for sure.
All right. You got one more? We probably should wrap it up, I think. If you got one more, we could do it.
Sure, we can finish here with one more. Fight on Rusty wants to know, Gavin, I believe, has a athletic doctor that he does some sort of flexibility training with. Could you ask him the impact that has on his play? Are you doing flexibility training, and does that help you out? Could you fill us in on that?
Man. Yeah. Shout out my guy, Injury Prevention. He, a homegrown friend from back home in Wisconsin. He just specializes in trying to help guys get better and prevent injuries before they pop up and a lot of the movement patterns. And he's just a, really, really smart guy. And I feel like there's some stuff that you can, learn and just try to absorb. But man, he's a really cool guy that I work with, not exclusively or anything, but someone that I've just been able to take, like little bits from and, use, and some stuff that I use to get prepared for games and stuff like that.
What was his name? I'm sorry.
So his name's Kyle, but his Instagram is at injury prevention.
At injury
specialist. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry. Yeah, on Instagram. But yeah, that's funny. That's awesome connection.
Nice. All right. Well, we really appreciate it. Here, we give you some with the applause. Awesome stuff. Gavin, we really appreciate you coming on, and obviously a huge part of this defensive resurgence for USC. You weren't around last year or last couple of years. It was not pretty. So fans are really happy. They're really excited to see you being a part of the team and starting and all that. And we appreciate you coming on and House of Victory, setting all this stuff up. So thanks so much for coming on and crushing it. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Look forward to the rest of the season and, catching up more.
All right. Gavin Meyer, everyone, follow him on Twitter. Yeah, he's got the fight on there. Love it. That's good. That's going to be the great screenshot. And appreciate you coming on. If you're paying attention, we're going to close this feed out and start another one in like a minute or two with Chris Trevino. He's in the other room. But Gavin, thanks so much. Everyone else, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time, which will actually be in like a minute or so. So thanks, Gavin.
Thanks, Gavin.
Awesome. See you guys.
All right.